People all the time will set these goals of timelines. Timeline sounds cool, but it might also make you really frustrated when you miss that because you have no idea what you're doing yet. And that's fine. That's part of the process, but be patient. So things take more time than you think.
Welcome to Multifamily Insights. I'm your host, John Casman, and I want to thank you for joining us for another great episode. If you are enjoying the show and get some great value, we need to hear it from you, all right? Do me a little favor and leave us that rating and review. It helps other listeners find the show, but also gives us some great feedback to make the show work harder for your investing goals. And listen, if you haven't done so, make sure you hit that follow or subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. Now, we've got a great show today. We're going to be talking to Jason Wright. They say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you want to grow as a multifamily investor, you have to spend more time with other multifamily investors. And an easy way to do that is to join our apartment investing mastermind group today. Just go to casmancapital.com and click on the mastermind button. Now, as a part of this group, you'll get access to expert trainings, group coaching calls, industry news and updates, as well as all of our webinars and workshops, including our 3-hour workshop on raising capital. Again, if you want to be around other multifamily investors that can help you scale your portfolio today and grow your network, make sure you're a part of the Apartment Investing Mastermind. Just go to casmancapital.com and click on the Mastermind button today. Now, Jason Wright is the CEO and founder of Intentionally Inspirational. Now, this is a digital marketing strategy and architecture firm. They are experts in Active Campaign, Go High Level, Sales MSG, and Zapier. Well, welcome to the show, Jason Wright.
Thanks for having me, man. Glad to be here.
Absolutely, Jason. It's great to have you on the show. I went over your bio at a very, very high level. Why don't you take 2 minutes and fill in some of those gaps?
Yeah, I was the guy in corporate America, like many people out there, that was just like, why am I helping somebody else build their company? I made about 7 years in corporate after college, and the biggest thing for me was I just wanted control over my time. I hate waking up early for no reason, so I like to be able to sleep in, start my day later, push everything back later. So, in order to get control over my time, I know I needed to be able to make money for myself, and so it started me down this crazy road I've been on for the last 9.5 years from a real high level.
Hey man, you talked about, wanting more control over your time, being in corporate America, not really loving building wealth for somebody else, and needed to create that avenue to do it. It's interesting because we talk to so many people, and that control over your own time is the thing that so many people look for. Sounds like you were doing well in corporate America, but I mean, was there any other friction or anything else that pushed you to say, you know what, I absolutely have to do this, or was it truly just this desire to have more control over your time?
Yeah, so and I'm pretty public about this, but the first time, there was more than one time. The first time I quit corporate, I was working for a family company that had I don't know, 55 businesses or something like that. They were generating about 300 million bucks a year. And the top guy, I got to know him a little bit, and I was like, this guy doesn't have any, education to speak of, which is fine. A lot of successful people don't, but he wasn't really even a very nice guy. And I remember thinking, if this jerk can build this empire, surely I can be a nice guy and pay my bills. So I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. So when I had that thought, that realization, I was just like, I'm a kind of guy, if I talk about something, I've already taken action. I don't just talk and not do stuff. I'm a big action taker. So I just kind of reached my breaking point, and I was like, I'm never going to get to do the things I want to do working for somebody else. If I'm already complaining this much in 7 years, how am I going to make it 20 or 30? So that realization really just pushed me over the edge. It was messy, it was ugly, it was a struggle. It's not a glamorous story. There's a lot of pain and failure and financial loss and that type of thing, relationship strain. So it's an ugly process, but like I say all the time, everything in life worth having has a cost. Right? It could be time, definitely money, could be your health. I used to have hair, believe it or not, but now I just have this big bushy beard to look at. So
Jason, when you say that, you know, it was a difficult period there. Was that leaving that company or once you left that company at the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey?
yeah, leaving the company was easy, but just a series of mistakes and miscalculations. So I thought I had 6 months of savings. I don't know how I calculated that. It ended up being about two. So that was dumb. The day after I quit, I went and bought a luxury automobile, which was stupid with no job. So just a lot of dumb decisions,
That one is pretty out. That's a bad one. Yeah.
It felt great for like a day. And I was like, plates are $500. Who's paying for that? So it's just a bunch of, I'm not a patient person by nature. And what I've learned in business, you can do things for a long time, and whether it's investing or business, either way, and the wins may be very gradual and slow. And what I've learned is the timeline's unknown. So I told my wife in 6 months we'll replace her income. It took like 18 months or more. So you just never know the timeline.
Yeah, I love it, man. So for someone who is maybe thinking about quitting their job, they want that time control like you wanted. What tips or feedback would you give them before they make that leap?
Number one is have something on the side. I literally had no idea. I had no income. I'll figure it out. It's crazy. So instead of watching Netflix or sitting around drinking beer, sit around and drink beer while building a business in your spare time. So get something established so you at least have a proof of concept and you've got some money flowing. The other thing is be patient. People all the time will set these goals of timelines. I'm quitting my job in 2 years. Oh, what business are you gonna use? I don't know yet. Well, timeline sounds cool, but it might also make you really frustrated when you miss that because you have no idea what you're doing yet. And that's fine. That's part of the process, but be patient. So things take more time than you think a lot of the times.
Yeah, two good tips there. One, just have something lined up on the side, have a clear pathway of where you're going next. I
Yep.
think it's really good to start building that business on the side. So when you're ready to make that transition, it's more seamless.
Yep.
Not necessarily the money. I think people get caught up on like, I have to replace my income. Like, I'm not going to quit until I make what I'm making in this other business. I think it's more about how you're going to use your time and how being able to pour more time and energy into that business is going to allow you to flourish. So that's a good way to think about it. The second thing you talked about was just being patient. You know,
Yep.
results aren't gonna, come overnight. It takes patience. It takes time to develop that. So make sure you're going into it with the right mindset. Let's talk. You mentioned before that, hey, you kind of quit corporate twice. So sounds like we talked about the first time. What happened the second time around?
Yeah, so the first time I was out for, like I said, ran out of money in 2 months. Had to ask an aunt of mine to buy us groceries. So she agreed to help for 6 months. I had two small kids. And at the end of that 6 months, I was like, I'm working at FedEx making $90 a week and nothing consistent online. So I'm not making any money. So went back to corporate, went into selling cars at CarMax, selling publishing packages, then finally mortgages. It was about 18 months. Started to get traction with the business. So then finally, my wife was like, "Hey, you're making as much money part time as you are with this mortgage job. You're never going to stop. I can see that. So why don't you go ahead and quit now and let's see what you can do full time." So my wife was like, "I got to stop this madness," but she had seen enough to go, "Okay, I think he's on to something, or I think he's got a skill set that people will keep paying for." So it was a little different. Instead of me shoving it down her throat, her being the more logical one always is like, "All right, now you've done what you should have done to begin with." So that
Talk to us
was
about what you did differently that second time around.
Every waking minute that I wasn't working for somebody, I was obsessive about building my business. And I didn't know what it was going to be, right? Initially, intentionally inspirational was going to be, a speaking platform or blogging platform, encouraging people to quit the 9 to 5. But I struggled with the idea that I hadn't done so successfully myself yet. I was like, am I an imposter? And I wouldn't lie about it. I'd say I haven't done so, but this is what I'm going to do. This is what you should do. But what I started to notice throughout that journey was as I learned about marketing tools to get my message out there, a lot of people on Upwork, specifically back then, were looking for help in the same tools that I just learned how to use myself. So I would help them and say, "Hey, Carmen, look, I'm actually making money in this business now and marketing stuff." And it just grew from there. So marketing was never the plan, but I was really good at the architecture and then the strategy I understood later. I was really good at it, and that's what stuck. And we've been doing it, almost 7 years full time now. So,
I love it, man. Congrats on that. And I think sometimes it's interesting how, we can walk into a business or walk into entrepreneurship with one idea, but entrepreneurship at its core is really just solving a problem, right?
yep,
And in your case, you were trying to solve a problem for yourself, realize as you were, on Upwork and other communities, other people had this problem. You start teaching other people how to do this thing, and from there a business is born. Talk to me more about intentionally inspirational and kind of the work you do and the kind of clients you serve.
Yeah, so great question. Like you said, it's marketing. We're really known for our work in active campaign. More recently, we've added to go high level. These are platforms that are CRMs and marketing automation tools. So if you think of email and text marketing and the CRM, these are competitor tools to each other. We do actually do some paid traffic for clients. A lot of people don't know that. Facebook ads is something we've done on and off the whole time. I'm doing it currently. We do build some landing pages as well. So if you think of a sales funnel, our expertise is really the back end of the funnel or what happens after people join your list. But we are more than capable of helping you with all those pieces as well. So real estate investors has been a big focus of ours the last few years. We're broadening that back up like we did in the past now, just because if you need lead nurture or lead gen and you've got a growing business, I mean, our skill set can help you. So we're broadening our horizons because it's really silly for us not to.
So we have a number of listeners who are again entrepreneurs, investors. They know they need or they've been told that they need a CRM or some mechanism to keep track of relationships or to email potential investors, things like that. Can you put a little more context to, why this is important and maybe, where you really come in and add a level of service or a level of value that they may be missing without that level of support?
Yeah, I mean, if you think of any relationship in life that you care about, all marketing is building and maintaining relationships, right? So if somebody new moves in next door to me, just by them being new, the way from the driveway, the small talk is going to be more frequent at first. You're going to kind of feel each other out, determine if you think the person's decent, and then from there, you don't need to talk as often, but you need to keep talking. The relationship will die, right? So it's the same thing with marketing automation online. And from the investor standpoint, it's like you're going to nurture new potential investors. You want to keep in touch with your current investors, and you want to, be able to talk about deals and other things you're working on down the road as well. So, a CRM allows you to do that electronically in a very organized fashion, where you can see when people entered your list, what they've gone through, what messages they've received, et cetera, et cetera. So, again, if you can just simplify marketing and think about using tools to help build and manage relationships, I think it's the easiest thing for people to connect with.
Can you highlight maybe a win or a result you were able to get for a client?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you just think about capital raises in general, doesn't matter if it's syndications or funds or whatever the case may be. But when my clients use the email and text tools that we have to get people to their webinar, nurture for soft commitments, et cetera, and they come back and they say, "Man, I've raised twice as much money using the system that I ever used in the past with rotary phones, legal pads, and post-it notes," and then they have that light bulb moment. It's awesome. I really think of us as an education company, and we happen to teach marketing. Sadly, people have and do rip off our offer that I built from scratch and put their logo on it and undercut us. But what they can't take is the way that we train the clients and support them for life. So that's really the big value of it. Another piece I never considered is a lot of clients have ideas, but they don't have confidence that the ideas are valid or appropriate or that makes sense in the industry. So that them just having a partner where they can say, "I have this idea. Do people do this? Am I crazy here?" It's the most valuable thing in the world. So all that stuff's a huge win.
No, I love it. When you talk about being able to raise twice as much money, I mean, listeners' ears perk up, right? Because ultimately, every investor either runs out of deals or runs out of money at some point,
Yep.
and that's the reason you're looking to scale. So you need those two things coming together. And on the capital side, there are relationships, right? There are people in your network. It's
Yep.
just the ability to nurture those relationships that is going to separate you from getting the results you want or falling short. Talk a little bit more about kind of the role you play, because what I heard you say was you're more of an education company, you just teach marketing. So, do you teach investors how to do this, or do you take that on and do it for them?
Yeah. So good question. I drifted off there before. I don't like the phrase done for you because there's always a section where you need some input from the client. So it's as done with you, it's done with you, but it's as done for you as it can be. So we set up the actual system. We get your logo, we get, copy written for you and all that stuff in there. Then we train you how to use it from a high level so you understand what the hell you've paid for. Some of our clients are more tech savvy than others. They want to get in there and tweak stuff and mess with it, and that's fine. And then as they need help, using it or building new stuff or making changes, we help with that as well. So we build it for them. We educate them on what they've paid for and how to use it, and then that ongoing support. It's Q&A and strategy, and even building additional automations is a big piece of it as well.
Love it, man. Appreciate that. If you want to learn more, you can go to intentionallyinspirational.com. Jason, some listeners may say, hey, I'm just starting out, or hey, I don't have a marketing budget right now. I don't have the money to pay another vendor or something like that. If you don't have the means to really invest and support someone on your team, what's like a bare bones thing that anyone can do to at least start to create the framework to take advantage of having a CRM system?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I don't even know what the cheapest option is out there, like maybe MailChimp or Constant Contact or something. Get some kind of email platform, the cheapest one you can find, and start building a list. The list is the most powerful thing you have, and the list is really your audience. It's the one little bit of traffic that you actually own, and what that means is you can take it out of MailChimp and import it into ActiveCampaign or whatever down the road. But if you just try to build a business on social media and social media cancels your account, you're in trouble. So I had a LinkedIn account shut down after 17 years, and LinkedIn didn't tell me why. That's a lot of freaking work gone, right? But the good thing is my whole business doesn't depend on LinkedIn. Now, if my list got deleted for some reason, if that was possible, that would be bad. But I would start over. But yeah, building that list early is the best thing you can do. And don't focus on the amount of people on your list. People always have this shame. I only have 43 people on my list, or I have four, or doesn't matter. The quality of the list is what matters. So one new relationship can change your business forever. So keep that in mind.
No, great insight right there. You mentioned building out that list. What's step one to actually build the list? Not just take the names you already have and put them in there, but if to actually proactively add people to that list, what would be the first step?
Yeah, creating a lead magnet. So lead magnet is basically exchanging value for information. The best lead magnet I've ever used is my calendar. So I create content on podcasts like this, or get on stage, or do whatever, and get my name out there. When people book 20 minutes of my time, I want their name, I want their email, I want to know how they heard from me, et cetera, et cetera. And that becomes a really powerful thing. But in the more traditional sense, if you can exchange value in the form of 3 short videos, it's about the easiest way to create a lead magnet. And you can do it in a day, you can do it with an iPhone, and you need to give your audience information they want in the most abbreviated way possible, right? We're in a busy world. I don't know about you, but I don't want to read ebooks. I don't want to consume all this long form content. I like to watch relatively short, simple videos that are palatable and actionable to learn new information from people that interest me.
Yeah, I love that tip because it's very valuable, especially understanding the psyche of the people you're trying to talk to. Short, quick. Um, it's interesting too because so many people love to use ebooks, or you'll go to someone's website and they just have a contact us form. And I'm like, no one wants to contact you. Like,
Correct.
no one is sitting there like, "You know what? I do wanna contact them." No, you wanna get something you want. We're all selfish, right? You
Yep.
went to a site, you're looking for some level of information, and if you can answer that question or scratch that itch, then they're willing to give you their email address. So, one of the things I always read that was really, that was powerful to me was you want it to be a quick win,
Yeah.
right? So what's one thing quickly? So it's not an ebook, it's not a 20-page thing. That's fine if it's conceptually and that is the win, but typically it's going to be something quicker, right? So it's going to be a calculator, it's going to be some sort of report. It's going to be something that gives someone some perceived value, high perceived value immediately. So that's something that we work with our clients on as well. But I think it's really important to understand the kind of things that are more effective than just, hey, here's my ebook or here's something that's really generic. Try to give value to people. That's going to be the best way to grow that list. Let's talk a little bit more about investing. You mentioned that you primarily work with real estate investors. I know that you yourself are also an investor, right? You do some investments. Talk to me about kind of your investing strategy. What kind of deals do you look at, and what do you typically look for?
Yeah. So I am a solo 401k guy. So I usually look for one deal a year to invest in. I've got one multifamily. That was my first one. And it's 121 doors in Chattanooga. And at the time, I really be honest, my first investment, I didn't really know what I was looking for. Right. I was like, I don't know if the numbers are good. I don't know what I should be looking at. And I had enough contacts to kind of say, okay, this is at least in the acceptable range of stuff. But I believed in the guy I was talking to. He was one of the general partners on the deal. So that was important to me. And I was kind of like, let's see what happens. The next deal I did was in a short-term rental fund, a little bit different. But even if the next deal would have been multifamily, some things I do differently. I'm about to be 43, so I'm a child of 1981. That was a good year, right? Thriller came out, I think, that year. Right. But what I've learned about myself is I'm relatively old school with investing. I want to meet the people that are the sponsors, the general partners in person, so I can look them in the eye and know who I'm dealing with. I'm a great read of people. I did that before investing. The second time I even viewed some of the assets in that fund. Excuse me.
Bless you.
And it just gives me a lot more rest assurance. I mean, I can look at the numbers and see the track record, and that's great, but I want to know who am I, getting into business with, so to speak, even though it's passive. I want to have faith that I feel like this person believes what they're saying. That's important, right? Like you said, it's a relationship business. There's a lot of good deals out there, but if you're telling me something, John, and I'm like, John doesn't believe himself, I'm out. I don't care what the numbers are. I don't care what you have to say. And I think that's important. I think, for first time or newer investors, and like I said, even though I've invested twice, I know lots of people who've invested dozens and dozens and dozens of time. My network in that is enormous. So a lot of these things I've taken from conversations with those people more experienced than me as well.
I appreciate you sharing that, right? As a passive investor, making that first investment, sometimes you don't know the right questions to ask. You get a general sense of the deal, the numbers, right? Most people start with the numbers and, okay, great. Here's this, here's that. Okay. But, you know, what you talked about, I think is really, really important. It's getting to know the operator. Who are they? Who are they at their core? Does this person believe in a deal? Do you get a good vibe? Do you get a good sense of them? That's going to be really, really key. Um, are there any specific questions or telltale signs that you look for? I know you talked about, do they believe in the deal, but is there any kind of, tip of the hat to help you realize, okay, hey, this person either does really believe in it or they don't really believe in it, or there's something that may be a little off?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like, do you have any track record in this asset class? That's one thing I want to know. Do you have boots on the ground in the area where the asset's at? One of the things I've seen is, people who, I'm just making this up on the whim. Let's say somebody lives in Washington State and they only invest in South Georgia, where I live. They have no boots on the ground here. I've heard way too many stories where that can turn into an absolute nightmare. And instead of having fun calls, capital calls begin, a year down the road. So boots on the ground's a really big deal. Property management's a really big deal. Is it vertically integrated? If not, what's the relationship like with them? What's a track record like? All that stuff's important stuff to think about and talk about for sure.
No, really great tips there. Boots on the ground, making sure you understand who's actually managing the asset on a day-to-day standpoint from a property management perspective. Are they tied in with them? Have they worked with them before? All of these are great questions to ask. Jason, just going back to those folks who are looking to scale, right? So many of them are in real estate, some of them are not in real estate. Is there a mistake you see many people make with CRMs that would be, kind of easy to fix, or something that you just wish everyone knew how to use this or do something the right way?
Yeah, mistake one is not using one at all. Mistake two is investing in one, or for somebody to investing in a company to help you set it up and then not using it. So it goes back to action. Mistake three is trying to do everything yourself. So, I hear this all the time. Well, I'm on a limited budget. I'm new. When I was new in business, I had a helper. I had a VA help me 2 hours a week. That's all I could afford. But getting some help 3 to 5 hours a week can make a huge difference in your business. You can have somebody else learn the CRM, help you set up newsletters, help you with social media, help you with posting. Somebody can do a lot in 3 to 5 hours a week. So getting help early is something that I did and I recommend, but most people won't do it. Most people are so obsessed with the idea of being in control of all their business. They don't realize that they are actually the reason why they can't scale. We only have 160 hours a week, so we can't do everything. We can't be everywhere. You've got to relinquish some control and get people involved early. And part-time's fine. You don't have to bring somebody in 40 hours a week to start. Anybody who comes on our team, we start them real part time and see how they're going to work out. And you can learn a lot in 2 weeks. You can learn a whole lot in 2 weeks, and you'll know exactly who you're dealing with within 6 months for sure. So that's some of my advice.
Great tips there. First of all, use it, get a CRM, use it. Two, train yourself, make sure you understand how to use it and actually do that. If you're someone who, you know, just find yourself not able to do it, you're overwhelmed, you got to run the actual business, get a VA, get some assistance. If you've got some social media savvy or internet marketing savvy nieces, nephews, cousins, siblings, tap
Yep.
into them. Let's get some help, right? There are people who can absolutely help you. You just have to find a solution. And VAs, you can get VAs who can work pretty affordably. There are definitely ways to do that. You mentioned Upwork earlier. There are
Yep.
platforms where you can find some of these people. So seek out the help. If you're looking to grow as an entrepreneur, it's really important. I'll tell you a quick story. When I was launching this podcast, I knew that it would never see the light of day if I did everything myself. So I tried to do episode one. I tried to edit it. Man, I was up for, I don't know, I was probably 2 hours in. I said, listen, I'm not doing this each week. So I went on Upwork or Fiverr or whatever it was, found an editor, found someone who would write the copy and write the show notes for me, and started to create the framework. And then I had the editor, which was great, but then the show notes were taking me forever to write because I was still the person left. I didn't like them, so I ended up writing the show notes. But I would be up, and it would take me like an hour to write these show notes. So finally, I got into a groove where I figured out how to write them better, more efficiently, and effectively. But once I was able to let go of that process, it actually made it so much easier to just focus on creating good content. And that is really a trick, right? I mean, the truth is, you can't do everything. You've got to focus your energy on the things that are really important and then bring on people on your team who can help do some of the tasks that are important, but not mission critical. And certainly they may not do it exactly how you would have done it, but you've got to be okay if they get it 80, 85% right. So, really great tips. Hard as entrepreneurs to let go, but if you really want to scale, you're going to have to empower other people and let them take you to new heights. Jason, again, for folks who want to learn more about you or your company, they can check out intentionallyinspirational.com and connect with you there. Right
Yes.
now, we are going to transition to our round of insights. Jason, give me a failure or an apparent failure that sets you up for later success.
Yeah. The first time I built my business up and had it fall right back down to where I started. So it made me realize really quickly that me doing everything on the fulfillment side is not scalable. So I had to learn that lesson more than once.
Give me a digital or mobile resource you recommend for your business.
Digital resource, Calendly. It's one of the best tools you could ever use. It's pretty inexpensive, but I would be lost without it.
Give me the book you've recommended or gifted the most in the last year.
How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie.
It's classic. Give me your daily habit that you use to stay focused on your goals.
Wake up around 9 or 9:30. Drink coffee in the Georgia sunshine while staring at palm trees before I go to the office.
I love it, man. I love it because I'm the opposite. I'm an early riser, not because I really want to be. I just realize I have a lot of stuff I try to do every day, and the only way to get more of it done is to get more in before the kids wake up. So I love the fact that you're up at 9.
Yeah.
All right. Give me your number one insight well, let's take this differently. Give me your number one insight for leveraging a CRM system.
Number one insight for leveraging it. You just got to use it. You just got to use it and learn it. It's going to be intimidating at first, but once you get in there and play around with it, you're not going to break it, and you actually understand it. All that fear goes away, and it'll start to help you.
All right, let's lighten the mood a little bit. You are in Georgia. Give me your favorite place to grab a bite to eat.
Ooh wee. I like going down to Amelia Island, Florida. So my house sits here less than a mile from Florida. So I just got to run over to 95 and down a little bit, and I go to Amelia Island, Florida. And it's just, if you like seafood, you're never going to find fresher or better shrimp, scallops, or fish anywhere.
Oh man, sounds great. Listen, you gave us a lot of great stuff, Jason. I love hearing your story as an entrepreneur, right? Someone who, like many of our listeners, was in corporate America, decided you were done with that, walked away, had to learn the hard way. Hey, I didn't have a really good plan, didn't have enough savings set up. went back to work, built the business part-time on the side, got it to the point where you were making similar to what you were doing in your day job, left that, focused on the business, and were able to scale intentionally inspirational. And I love too that you actually pivoted. You initially had it as one thing, it was going to be a speaking business, and ultimately you realize that, the place I can really help people is being, a marketing firm, helping other entrepreneurs understand the CRM system and really setting up kind of the back end to some of their lead generation activities. So really great stuff there. Love the tips that we got to actually use the CRM. So that's tip number one. Get in there, get one, use it. Really key for everybody to make sure that they are scaling and growing as entrepreneurs. Again, for folks who do want to learn more and connect, they can go to intentionallyinspirational.com. Jason, thanks again for being a great guest and coming on Multifamily Insights. We look forward to staying in touch with you, and I hope you have a great day.